Homelander is everywhere online. Love him or hate him, you've probably seen at least one of these. To some, he's a symbol of power and confidence. The guy who always has the upper hand no matter the situation. And if you spend enough time scrolling, you'll see the same phrase over and over. I am him. But here's the thing, you're not Homelander. Nobody is. He's one of the most dangerous characters on TV, and his whole point of existence is to show us why idolizing someone like this is a very big mistake. Hey everyone, I'm Nikanak. I make videos about everything I question and overthink, and today we're breaking down Homelander and the 6 reasons you are not him. So without further ado, let's get into it.
It's time to overcome this need for love, this sickness, once and for all. You're never gonna be your true self until you transcend your humanity. What do? You need to go back to the start.
Homelander never had a family. He wasn't born into love, he was built in a lab. Vought used Soldier Boy's DNA and a surrogate to bring him into the world, and even his birth was violent. He literally burned his way out of the womb, killing his mother and several doctors in the process, and from that moment on, he was treated like a product and experiment, but not a person. The closest thing Homelander had to a parent was Dr. Vogelbaum, the scientist who gave him the name John. And first, John came across as a regular kid, but that didn't last long. Vought's plan wasn't to raise a child, it was to create a marketable American symbol. So his childhood was just experiments and psychological conditioning.
Heck, I would have settled for just warming the bench at Yankee Stadium. What I'm saying is, my baseball career didn't exactly work out.
Locked him in ovens, made him fight guards just to test how strong he was. And when he wasn't being tortured physically, he was watching endless loops of the American flag, baseball games, and Jesus. Basically, Vought brainwashed him with patriotism. And here's the really sad part about all of this, is that John, aka Homelander, was strong enough to escape, but he didn't because his need for approval kept him tied to the people abusing him. He wanted love more than he wanted freedom, so he clung to the scientists who hurt him because they were the only family he knew. And when someone finally showed him a bit of care, he literally crushed them.
I can't breathe.
But it wasn't because it was rage or anger, it was love. So even the way he portrayed love turned into a weapon. And we see, obviously, how much his childhood shaped him years later. And one instance that really stuck out with me and made me hate the corporation was when Vought forced him to film a promo about his childhood home. The house was fake, a random place filled with props to make him look like Clark Kent. He played along for the cameras, talking about birthday cakes, model planes, and family dinners. But then he saw a real piece of his past, which was the baby blanket from the lab, and instantly his mask fell.
So what if I took you to a house you'd never seen before, full of photos of parents you never met, and then I asked you how much all that fake fucking bullshit meant to you? How would that make you feel?
I wouldn't like that.
That blanket was the truth. That was his childhood. Everything else was a lie scripted for the brand. And here's the thing with Homelander that I think is important to mention is that he didn't always want to be this monster. He really, at some point, I believe, wanted to be a hero. And what we see in this universe is that a lot of soups start that way when they're young and naive. But Vought has a way of breaking them down. No consequences, awful influences, and a system that rewards cruelty over kindness. And over time, whatever good intentions he had vanished. That's why the real evil in the boys isn't just Homelander. It's Vought. Everyone else, even him, is a victim of the machine that Vought had built. Is Homelander a monster? Abso-freaking-lutely. But he was made that way. He was made by these people. If he were to be given a real home, a real family, maybe he could have been something closer to the hero he pretends to be.
You should have been raised in a home with a family who loved you, not in a cold lab with doctors.
So what happens when someone grows up without love but with godlike powers? They try to replace love with control, and when control isn't enough, they chase the next closest thing: worship.
Wasn't I chosen to save you? Is it not my God-given purpose to protect the United States of America?
Homelander doesn't doubt his strength. He knows he's the most powerful man on Earth. His whole existence revolves around making sure everyone else treats him like that matters. And Flight 37 shows it perfectly. The plane is going down. Maeve literally begs him to save the passengers. He refuses, not because he can't, but because if even a handful survived and told the story, it could ruin his image. He would be exposed as a failure, and to Homelander, that's the worst outcome. So his solution is, for him, logical, for us, absolutely cruel. No survivors, no story, no threat to how the world sees him. That's how Homelander thinks about power. It's not about responsibility or duty, it's about being seen as flawless. Every choice he makes is about protecting the brand of Homelander. And it doesn't stop there. That hunger for worship is what shapes how he handles the public later.
I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
Now, for all his talk about being above everyone else, Homelander is as lonely as it gets. The problem is, he doesn't know how to love someone without consuming them. Let's start with Stillwell. She wasn't just his boss. To him, she became a mother figure, someone he depended on as much as he desired. That's where his obsession with milk comes from. It's not just a kink, it's about the motherly affection he never had. Nursing, maternal comfort, things that were missing from his lab childhood. With Stillwell, he tried to fill that void, but when he found out she had lied about her loyalty, it all collapsed. For Homelander, love was optional, loyalty was not. And for Homelander, that meant violence.
I'm scared of you.
Thank you. Thank you for finally being honest.
Maeve is another example. To the public, they were the perfect superhero couple, and behind the scenes, it was just something arranged by Vought. Maeve pitied him, but she also feared him, and he couldn't stand the thought of her choosing anyone else.
From the start, I hated you. But what's more, I fucking pitied you.
Whatever connection they had, from Homelander's perspective, turned into possession pretty fast. And when she finally defied him, that was unforgivable in his eyes.
When are you gonna stop torturing me?
Don't know what you're talking about.
If I promise to never see her again, will you stop?
But May, you're in love.
Now, Black Noir was one of the few people he actually respected. He trusted Noir in a way he trusted almost no one else. But even that bond snapped once Homelander learned that Noir had kept the truth about Soldier Boy from him. That betrayal pushed him over the edge, and it ended with one of the most brutal kills on the show. Like always, it ended in paranoia and violence. And then there's Stormfront, and she was different. She understood his god complex and fed right into it. Their relationship looked more like passion, but it was really narcissism bouncing off itself. And by no means was he in love with her. He was just in love with the reflection she gave him. And once she was gone, so was the illusion of connection.
And you will be the man who will lead us. You are everything. we dreamed of.
And finally, there's Ryan, his only real attempt at being a father. And here's where Homelander gets complicated, because he does love Ryan, but just like every other relationship Homelander has, it's a toxic kind of love. His relationship with his son is driven by narcissism and the desperate need for validation. He doesn't see Ryan as his own person. He sees him as an extension of himself, a potential successor, proof that he can be the perfect father he never had. Ryan is the first person who's ever accepted him, and that's huge for someone like Homelander.
I'm not going anywhere. I will always be here.
It fills that hole left by his own loveless childhood, but it also makes him latch onto the boy in a way that isn't healthy. When Ryan killed a man by accident, Homelander's reaction said everything. Instead of teaching him empathy, he sat down next to him with a milkshake and said,
Yes.
No, I'm never doing that again.
Jesus, how many times do I have to tell you? They're only human, Ryan.
That's Homelander as a father, not guiding Ryan, but shaping him into a copy of himself. And yet, just like his childhood, this is where we catch glimpses of something human in him. He does set boundaries, he does make an effort to act like a father, but even those moments are selfish. He isn't thinking about Ryan's future as his own person. He's thinking about his pride, his legacy, and rewriting his broken past through his son. This is what makes their relationship both chilling and, dare I say, relatable. A lot of people know what it's like to have parents who project onto them, who see them as an extension instead of an individual. That's narcissistic parenting, and in a twisted way, it makes Homelander feel human, just like his childhood, because even as a god, he's still trapped in the same old cycle of generational trauma. The difference is, he has no interest in breaking it. So in the end, every relationship for Homelander ends the same way. He can't love anyone selflessly. Every relationship is about feeding his need for control and validation. The moment someone stops giving him that, the relationship twists into manipulation or violence. Now, Homelander's need for love doesn't stop with the people closest to him. His real addiction, as mentioned earlier, is the public. Cameras, applause, the idea that an entire country is hanging on his every word. And that's what keeps him going. We see it in season 1, right after Flight 37. He lets the plane go down, then stands in front of reporters and spins it into a sales pitch for more power.
But if they let us into the military, then this will never happen again. That is my solemn promise to you.
To the grieving families, yes, he sounds like a savior. In reality, he's the reason no one survived. Now, as time goes on, he leans into this more and more. At the Believe Expo, he cast himself as a religious savior.
The righteous shall rejoice when he sees the vengeance, and he will bathe his feet in the blood of the wicked.
Later, shoulder to shoulder with Stormfront, he fed into nationalism and fear.
Logan?
My meme queen. So, when you see it on your uncle's Facebook page, then you know it's working.
Every stage became another chance to be worshipped. The big turning point was his birthday. When the crowd booed, he snapped and screamed right back at them.
I am done apologizing. I am done being persecuted for my strength. You people should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am.
For most people, that would have been career suicide. But the opposite happened. They loved him for dropping the mask, and that moment showed him something new. He didn't have to pretend anymore. He could be himself, the monster, and people would still clap. And once that line moved, it never stopped. When he killed a protester in broad daylight, the crowd erupted. That kind of validation changed everything. He learned cruelty could win him loyalty just as easily as charm. By season 4, this obsession fully merged with politics. His trial over the protesters' deaths should have been humbling. Instead, he used it as a theater.
Everyone remain calm. We're all very special people. Stop it. Stop.
At rallies, he even paraded Ryan in front of the cameras as proof of his legacy. It wasn't just about Homelander the hero anymore, it was about Homelander the leader, the father, the man building a movement. So across the 4 seasons we've seen, his relationship with the public evolves from a showman to a demagogue. He doesn't need to hide anymore. As long as people are cheering, he knows he can get away with anything. And that is the scary part. Homelander isn't just written as a character for shock value. He's written to reflect the world we live in. On the outside, he looks like the perfect American hero. Blonde hair, square jaw, wrapped in a flag. He's basically Superman and Captain America stitched together. But instead of truth and justice, he represents ego, violence, and propaganda. He's what happens when the myth of the perfect hero gets twisted. Even the show's director, Eric Kripke, said that Homelander is a reflection of current America. And that's the point. He's not just a bad guy in tights, right? He's meant to hold up a light to the world we live in. Think about celebrity culture. People don't always defend celebrities because they're good people. They defend them because there are some people who value the image more than the person's merit. We've all seen how fans ride or die for people like Kanye West or Elon Musk, no matter what they do. Charisma and confidence end up mattering more than morality, and Homelander thrives on that same kind of loyalty. And then there's politics. His speeches echo the kind of rhetoric we've heard in real life, the kind that feeds on fear and division, perpetuating the us versus them mentality.
Given, and they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that? So it's sort of, I really do, I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. You want to know the truth?
And finally, there's the masculinity aspect. Homelander's obsession with dominance, his fear of being seen as weak or vulnerable, his need to be adored. It's all tied to this toxic idea of what a man is supposed to be. He's not all that different from someone like Andrew Tate, who reduces masculinity to control and power.
Sorry. Did I just ask YouTube for permission to smoke in my own house? I do what I want.
Underneath that bravado, both of them are fragile, covering weakness with aggression. That's why audiences can't stop watching him. He's scary, but he's also familiar. He just exaggerates stuff we already know. Now, if you've spent any time online, you've probably seen the edits. You've probably seen the memes. And hell, it's not only Homelander. Maybe you have seen the edits with Christian Bale and American Psycho. And in these edits, they're both framed as the ultimate Sigma male. Homelander's speeches get captioned with stuff like "me when they doubt me" or "I am him." In those edits, he's not a narcissist nor a killer. He's a role model for confidence and the new wave of masculinity, the whole Sigma ordeal thing. And it's truly fascinating, but it's also pretty disturbing. Anthony Starr, the actor who plays him, has said it blows his mind that anyone could see Homelander as the hero of this story. And here's the question that has been bothering me. Why do people admire him? And part of it is fantasy. Homelander doesn't answer to anyone. He says whatever he wants. He takes whatever he wants. For people who feel powerless in their own lives, that kind of freedom can look appealing. Teenagers especially might connect with that. Sharing Homelander or Patrick Bateman edits doesn't always mean they want to be the villains. Sometimes it's literally for the meme, and sometimes it could say that I feel ignored, I feel broken, so let me look cold and untouchable. I don't agree with this, but I get why that attitude can feel powerful when you're going through difficult times. It's basically teenage angst that is masked as strength. But here's the problem with that thinking. Homelander isn't strong. He isn't in control. He's broken, insecure, and incredibly vulnerable despite all that power. And season 4 makes this clearer than ever. On the outside, Homelander gains political power. He looks untouchable, but inside, he's falling apart. He notices his gray hairs and panics about aging. He lashes out in the lab, trying to destroy the parts of himself he sees as weak. His relationships with Ryan and Sister Sage are desperate attempts at filling a void, and none of it works. Kripke even said Homelander could become the king of the world and still feel inferior about it. His triumph in season 4 is all on the outside. Inside, he's fractured, miserable, and spiraling. And that's the point. Homelander isn't some mastermind who always wins. He's a man-child with godlike powers cracking under the pressure of his own trauma. So when people online say, I am him, they're missing the point. Homelander isn't someone to look up to. He's someone to pity and, yeah, to fear. And season 5 most likely will be the endgame for Homelander. So the question isn't if he'll fall, it's just how. So, Homelander is terrifying not because he's a soup, but because he reflects the worst parts of humanity. He was denied love as a child, so he grew up craving it from the world. He uses power to cover his insecurities, he twists relationships into control, and when he faces the public, he manipulates them with fear and spectacle. The memes and the edits might frame him as a figure of strength, but the truth is, he's fragile. He has all the powers of a god, but none of the peace that comes with being secure. And that is why you're not Homelander. And that's actually a very good thing. You don't need people to fear you to feel whole. You don't need absolute power to find validation. Homelander proves that those things only make the emptiness worse. But what do you think? Why do you think some people, not the ones who joke, but the ones who actually believe Homelander should be put on a pedestal, fall into this trap? Why are people drawn to glorifying villains in the first place? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. And now remember, the important thing is to always keep questioning. Even me. Till next time.